Hello, my name's Alex Venturis, and I'm presenting India's country analysis, focusing on their trade laws and market structure. Please excuse me while I take a bite of this delicious Indian rendang curry. Mmm, that's good. Spicy, excuse me. Much better. Now let's get into India's trade laws. India is Australia's 10th largest trading partner. They are our 5th largest export market, and in the 2018-2019 period, two-way trade with India was valued at $30.3 billion. The Indian trade policy for 2015 to 2020 is set out in the Foreign Trade Policy, also known as the FTP. The government releases its FTP every 5 years. However, the FTP is reviewed periodically to account for certain external and internal macroeconomic factors. The stated aim of the FTP is to stimulate the increase of India's share in global exports to 3.5% by the end of 2020. Its current share is just at 1.67%, but this was heavily influenced by COVID-19. Australian businesses exporting goods to India should be aware of the various import duties and taxes that may apply, including tariffs and other import regulations with which they must comply. In India, tariffs are generally applied at a rate of 30 to 50% on imported food products and about 150% on imported foreign wines. Tariffs and import regulations are frequently revised and subject to change without notice, so businesses should reconfirm these before selling goods to India. Now, this leads us to trade agreements with India. India are a founding member of the World Trade Organization. They are party to several regional trade agreements and preferential trade agreements. However, they are yet to finalise a free trade agreement with Australia. Since 2011, Australia and India have been negotiating a trade agreement known as the Australia-India Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. The trade negotiations aim to secure numerous benefits for Australian businesses, particularly those engaged with agriculture, manufacturing, services, investment, resources and energy. When the CECA is signed and comes into effect, there may be certain goods to which no import duties apply. Copyright and intellectual property protections. India's IP legislation covers every significant aspect of protection of IP. The regulations relating to forms of IP have been amended or reissued in recent years, mainly in response to India's accession to the World Trade Organization in 1995. Although Indian IP law is thorough and generally comparable with Australian IP laws, there are still significant concerns over IP enforcement. A major concern for enforcement is bureaucratic delay, with the backing of cases at both civil and criminal courts, resulting in cases running for many years. An advantage for Australian businesses operating in India is the legal system is based on common law, so the fundamental processes are similar. The most important way to avoid problems when defending IP rights in India is to be prepared. In order to anticipate any potential infringement issues, Australian businesses should take advice from Indian IP right experts, consult any publications and websites on Indian IP rights and protection in general, and take professional advice from other experts such as lawyers, diplomatic posts, business associations, and other Australian international experts. Political hierarchy in India. The government of India is divided into three main sections: the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. The executive section looks at the president and vice president as well as the cabinet members, and these people pass laws made by the legislature. The legislature or parliament is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, which are the governing bodies of India. This looks at the Prime Minister, and these people make the laws. The judiciary consists of the Supreme Courts, and they solve conflicts between the executive and legislature branches. The President of India is Ram Nath Kovind, and he's on a 5-year term. The President is a nominal executive and oversees ceremonial functions similar to royalty in Great Britain. The President signs all the bills but cannot reject them all. The Prime Minister in India is Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister is chosen by the political party in power, and they are known as the chief advisor to the President, but is actually the head of the government and is the most powerful one. Political stability in India. The BJP party was re-elected in May 2019 with a majority to return to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a second term. The Modi government had become known for harassing and sometimes even prosecuting human rights defenders and journalists for criticising government officials and policies. The BJP has not passed up the opportunity to publicise the positive ratings, with Home Minister Amit Smart tweeting that Modi was streets ahead of other global leaders in this regard. However, there has been a clear bias in the government's decision-making. The poor and marginalised have borne the brunt of the lockdown from COVID-19, with thousands of migrant workers stranded in their place of work or on highways. Australian companies are advised to spend their time investigating the market, obtain professional advice where appropriate, and thoroughly investigate the issues in entering the market before establishing business relationships. Now we're moving on to the market structure of India, looking at demographics. India is currently in the middle of a demographic dividend, with 27% of the population below 15 years of age. In the 5 years until 2025, the country is expected to add a further 50 million people to its working age population, according to a recent Macquarie research paper. The country has the potential to benefit from the virtuous cycle of favourable demographics and dividend-boosted savings, leading to high investment and high economic growth. However, the challenge will be to create a skilled working-age population with enough employment opportunities to exploit. In terms of growth, India has strong structural drivers in place to sustain high growth over the coming decades. With 2/3 of its 1.3 billion people in the working age group, it has amongst the best demographic profiles in the world. Another aspect of the demographic trend is rapid urbanisation, which in turn is propelling demand for its infrastructure and housing. So it's imperative for marketers to understand the significance of youth in India when looking to market their brand, particularly as the older end of the youth spectrum become to enter the working age and have more disposable incomes. In terms of levels of profitability, incredibly, 20 of the most profitable firms in India generate 70% of the country's profits. The top 3 most profitable companies are government-owned entities dealing with fossil fuels. 5 of the 10 most profitable companies based on net profits are government-owned companies. The reason that the government-owned companies have made it to the top is because of their huge market share and lack of competition from private companies in the energy sector. Now moving on to India's drifting consumption patterns. Research shows that Indians are rejecting several non-durable goods such as jams, pickles, butter and pastries. Even spirits fell by over 60,000 tonnes and juices by around 50,000 tonnes. The study by CARE stated that lifestyle changes, increased health concerns have prompted consumers to avoid aerated drinks, alcoholic drinks, butters, jams, sauces, fruit juices, resulting in lower production of these products. Companies such as Britannia, Pepsi and Nestle are trying to cope with these changing trends by introducing products which are healthier options, such as Maggi oats and sugarless and flourless biscuits. Companies need to understand the changing consumption patterns of India if they don't want to become obsolete in the market. Lifestyle and niches. Cricket is one of the most popular sports in India, and some would even see it as a religion in the country instead of a sport. When there's a big cricket match, everyone will seem to stop what they're doing and just focus on the game. You also see many children play gully cricket on the streets. It's simply something that unites Indians like nothing else in the world. In fact, cricket has over 1 billion fans globally, and the Indian subcontinent alone contributes to more than 90% of them, according to the largest ever market research into the sport conducted by cricket's governing body, the ICC. Cricket is something that companies can use to market their brand. You will often find famous companies like Pepsi using famous cricketers and sportsmen alike to promote their brand. Before TikTok was banned in June of this year, the app was downloaded 611 million times in India, which is around 30% of the app's total downloads. It was the top market for Indian TikTok downloads in 2019. In 2018, during the ICC Cricket World Cup, TikTok came into the notice of the Indian brands as a platform worth exploring. The official of ICC has around 1.1 million followers on TikTok, and their campaign #CricketWorldCup hit the mark of 9.9 billion views. Not a small feat for an app that launched only a few years prior. However, with TikTok being banned in June of this year, a new opportunity for marketers may be presenting itself, with YouTube set to launch YouTube Shorts, which has a similar business model to TikTok, and this potential rival to TikTok will be tested in India. due to the fact that TikTok was so successful in India before it was planned. So this is something that marketers should really look out for when promoting their brands in India. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Alex Venturis. I hope you enjoy the rest of our presentation.